Hello, everyone. Just gonna do a quick audio check now that we are live. Yes, so this we're gonna test out if this is a good fit for the new time slot. Now, I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year's Eve celebration and Christmas. I'm feeling a little bit worse for wear. I didn't think one person should be able to drink that much uh, with what I was doing. I thought, I had a bit more togetherness about me. Turns out, no, I mixed drinks and I buggered everything up. But, the night ended really, really well and I popped in bed at like a very, very late 2 a.m., which if I normally have to admit, I'm in bed by about 9:30 every night. So this was a real late one for me last night. I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year's Eve. So, this week's show is going to consist of a fair bit. Um, Now, I know that Insiders isn't on and that there's a few different things going on. And I realise that people have a lot of commitments around this time of year. For instance, I know that a lot of you are probably feeling a lot like me, and getting up is a bit of a struggle, and you probably ordered something for dinner just to sort of not have to do anything. I considered it, and then I looked at my bank account, and then I went, no, I'm still making dinner. um, okay. So let's get this party started. So, I want to first talk about welfare and new fixes coming for that. Now that the year is 2023, I think it's time that we talk about what could be in it for you and how this could impact you. Some of you are on welfare, a lot of you work, and looking at the demographics, it looks like some of you might be able to be helped in prescriptions and a few other things. So, what does that mean? Well, let's have a look. Okay, so uh, new rules for 2023. This is what you need to know about the changes from New Year's Day. Okay, the beginning of the new year is bringing with a host of new changes. Centrelink payments, including carers, students, will have their payments boosted from January 1. The payments will be indexed, rising just over 6%. This means youth allowance will go up by at least $19 a fortnight. Our study will increase between $32.40 and $41.40 per fortnight. And those underneath the age of 21 on the disability support pension will receive an extra $27 to $40.70 per fortnight. Okay. Lower cost of the PBS medicine. From New Year's Day, the maximum cost of medicine on the pharmaceutical benefits scheme is $30, down from $42.50. The Pharmaceutical Guild of Australia says that it will be the first time in history that the PBS general co-payment for medicines has come down and not gone up. Okay, COVID PCR test only available at a GP. Now, this part is going to be vital. Now, most of you know that my daughter does have COVID. And it isn't great. In talking about the fact of where we are with COVID, we are still in the middle of this pandemic. So I think this was a poor move. Well, I think everything else is great. This one was a poor move. From January 1, people seeking free PCR tests must get a referral from a medical practitioner, such as their local GP. Free PCRs will be available without a referral at a limited number of state or territory operated COVID-19 testing clinics. But these clinics may turn away people considered low risk of COVID-19 complications. High-risk groups, including elderly, First Nations people with a disability and immune compromise, can still access free tests through state testing sites, GP-led respiratory clinics without a GP referral. Now, I am critical of that particular legislation. I know that because I'm watching COVID wreak havoc in my family still. So I do have an issue with that particular one. Free TAFE scheme in fee-free TAFE scheme introduced from January 1st. The federal and state governments will be handing out 180,000 fee-free TAFE vocational, educational, and training places. The federal government has contributed $493 million towards the scheme, with state and territory governments matching the contribution. The places will be held for study areas that have been identified as national priority, including care and aged care, healthcare, disability care, technology and digital, hospitality and tourism, construction, agriculture, and sovereign capability. Can someone leave me a comment on what sovereign capability is? That's weird. Okay, more subsidised university places. Select people heading to university will benefit in 2023 as the federal government will contribute $485.5 million to provide 20,000 Commonwealth-supported places. Higher education providers have been allocated places in the following areas: 4,636 in education, 2,600 in nursing, 2,275 in IT, 2,740 in health professions, 1,738 in engineering. The remaining courses will be offered in other areas of skill shortage. The places will focus on increasing participation for regional and remote students, those in low socioeconomic background, students with a disability, First Nation students, and those that are in their home and study at university. If you are planning to downsize your home, now this is a very controversial topic because some elderly people consider this being forced out of their home, while others consider it a joy to go to a new place that's easy to manage and so forth. So this is controversial. I'm not even going to muck around with it. If you sell your home from January 1 onwards, the new rules apply too. Australians on welfare payments looking to downsize may benefit from the changes to the asset income testing as of January 1. Services Australia announced people who sold their principal place in residence and used the sale of the proceeds for their new primary home would only need to declare the remaining profits. This applies if you use the fund to buy, build or rebuild or repair or renovate your new principal home. The changes apply to income support payments, certain allowances and low-income healthcare cards. Cheaper childcare for 2023. A large majority of you do have children in daycare. This part will be vital for you. Understand that childcare makes up 50% of putting women back into the workplace. If you do not address women and their need around childcare, sadly, because women are the main providers still today for this kind of thing, you're not going to get a big take up of women wanting to head back to work because it's not financially viable. So, in June, free kinder prep programs, more childcare were announced as part of Victoria's $9 billion education reform package. Across Victoria, kindergartens will be made free through the new subsidies set to come into effect in 2023. Children enrolled and eligible tongue-tied. Sensational kinder services will have access to $2,500 subsidy, while children attending a funded kindergarten program in long daycare settings will be eligible for fee reduction of $2,000. Now that is going to be a big deal. But while we're talking about the benefits to welfare, the benefits to the TAFE in universities, the typical things that Labor does. Here's where, again, I'm going to point out the structure of this. Mental health. Mental health subsidy cut from 20 to 10 sessions. Medicare rebated psychology sessions will form from a maximum of 23 sessions to 10 in September to 10 sessions per year. Healthcare Minister Mark Butler announced in December that the patients would only be able to claim Medicare rebates for 10 visits to a psychologist and allied mental health services from next year. That is a poor idea. Mental health should be boosted, not decreased. That is a poor idea. Mental health for small business owners. October, the federal government announced that $15.1 million would be provided to help out small business owners to access free mental health and financial counselling and support. Okay, so that is to do with what happens in 2023 and the subsequent benefits and drawbacks of the new ALP government. While I do praise some of the benefits to it, there's a lot that I don't. There's some that I don't. So I think that should be taken into account. Next, I want to talk about the voice. Now, this is going to come up a lot because there is going to be a referendum and you're going to have a very hateful side, make a very uneducated, well and truly attacking kind of rhetoric that you are going to have to face. Now, the voice is not a third chamber. Whenever you're met with one of these idiots that tell you it's a third chamber, it is not. It is just to strengthen voices of Indigenous communities around the country. However, the Conservatives think that giving people a larger voice from very remote communities is a bad thing because, of course, why would giving, more help to these communities be a bad thing? I don't know, but Conservatives turn it into one. So let's take a look at that. Okay.
There's an over 200-page document of detail that went to the cabinet of the Morrison government, not once, but twice. There has been a 5-year process leading up to the Uluru Statement in 2017, and then a 5-year process since then. There's been parliamentary committees, there's been parliamentary reports, there's been this cabinet document worked through by Marcia Langton and Tom Calmer of over 200 pages, which outlined equal representation between men and women. It outlined what representation could look like. Its recommendation was a model of 20 people. But of course, that's all subservient to the parliament. That's the point here. The voice is not something that sits above or even beside the parliament. It's simply a consultative body so that there can be that engagement, and it will change over time because it's subject to the parliament of the day. And that's why this is a very modest request of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And I'm very confident that Australians who are generous people will accept this offer that has been made and will vote yes in the referendum when it's held in the second half of next year.
Okay, so let's address a few things containing to that. Already that there are several advisory boards in relation to, say, education, mining, and other entities. The reason that this one is being held over as a constitutional change is because whenever you ask anyone, for real civil rights, you have to make sure that you ask everybody if you should be a decent human being. Because why else would you draw up a piece of legislation that originally had the First Nations people considered part of nature, not actually part human, like a tree or a plant of some kind? I mean, we have this disgraceful way of pretending like we're catching up to these issues. No, I'm going to rebut that in every which way possible. So if you're not sure what my stance is here, hmm, I think that the more voices that you're going to get from the regional Australia, the real parts of it, and the parts that can strengthen uh, Indigenous communities, go for it. You have nothing to lose in trying and everything to lose in failing. This is it, guys. We have to give this a real honest go for the country. If we really do want to close the gap, this is one step where we might really be able to do that. I'm not saying it's a cure-all and that we're going to have all of our issues lined up in a perfect symphony of fixtures. That's not what this is intended to be, nor is it being perceived that way. But if the Conservatives get their way, they don't want anything, because why would a Conservative want to fix anything? Because their job is to just privatise it and profit off it and make it some horrendously, terribly mischaracterised situation. Like, for instance, if you were to put in place a oversight of unions and all that kind of stuff that were there. They did it, right? Okay. So what did they do with that power? They instantly put people in there that were not fit for that job. Not only were they not fit, but they were just Conservatives that were built from the IPA, the very conservative arm of the Liberals that is designed to tear everything down that is good institutionally. Murdoch thrives off making sure that his creation in the IPA is to make you feel less about being human, so you keep his readership going. If you're not deathly afraid of everything, you're not a conservative, because that's how he likes his audience. Okay, next one I want to talk about. Housing in Queensland. It definitely is a crisis. So understand when I say this. This announcement doesn't come big enough for me. I think Queensland government could go bigger, but I don't really know what that looks like. We do have a massive housing crisis here in Queensland. So I'm going to show you how I think we could benefit from that. Okay. Okay, so hold on, where'd it go? Deputy Premier Stephen Miles is announcing the new member of the Housing Supply Expert Panel, who will work to deliver more affordable housing for Queenslanders. It will be one of those things that I think is needed. This funding isn't just needed in Queensland, though. This is nationwide. But it's good to see Queensland finally addressing some of these big issues. And then it's going to be one of those things that will always be wanting. So even if you did the supply chain, even if you added a lot more to it, you couldn't have enough to fit everybody. So even if you built 20,000 public housing homes, you're still going to need 50,000 on top of that. That's the sort of crisis that we're in. If you're, I just made up those numbers, by the way. I don't actually know the sheer scale of those numbers, but I do know it is in epic proportions, and something does need to be done. Okay, next one. Kevin Rudd is asking to stop his pension. Weirdly, who he spoke to about it was an even weirder moment, because conservatives, I think what he was doing was showing conservatives, hey, this is something you probably should have done because you're ordinary freaking human. Former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd went on Sky News, urged to pause his pension while receiving a lucrative salary as ambassador to the United States. He's willing to say, no, don't need that. All I need is my salary as ambassador, and why didn't anyone else do that? Yeah, it looks a little bit shitty now, doesn't it? And it just shows you how far their hand in the till is, that they don't understand how very, very serious these things are. And Kevin Rudd has always been classy. And in another moment, he shows conservatives, oh no, you thought that you were attacking him. He hands you the solution, and that's still not good enough. Because, why would it be? All the comments in relation to it are sort of the ones that you expect, by conservatives. Like, why would you do that? Like, then they're like, you're just showing off. You're still going to secretly get it. It's terrible. That a win is never a win with them, Doesn't matter what the left does. That's why I don't know why he went on Sky News to discuss it. It was weird. Okay, Barnaby. Now, we have not heard from the seems to be this weird character of an alcoholic within Parliament House ranks. Now, if he's concerned about that weird defamation moment, show me your blood pressure, show me your intake of alcohol, and I will show you that I'm right, you're wrong, you got a problem. But Barnaby shows us each and every time why he isn't even intelligent enough to do some of the most basic things. Okay, so Barnaby has this weird talking point about stuff that he knows. I don't know, he's weird. And thought you'd want to hear how bizarre I found this exchange.
I can't even spell it.
Or has relevance.
I couldn't even spell it. What is that? So I've got no idea what you're talking about. Digger helps out. John and Jill go to the farm. Their project's probably. I tell you what I do. Watch the Teletubbies with the kids. That's good fun. I've got no idea, mate. I've got none. I tell you what I do. Watch the Teletubbies with the kids. That's.
Yeah, Barnaby Joyce likes to Teletubbies to talk about John and Jill going to the farm, and he has no idea, and he can't spell. The walking beacon is through in his high spirits, potentially drunk. Okay. So this is yet another moment of Barnaby showing us that he is not fit for office. Why is there a fly in here? It's just one, and it's annoying me. Okay, Rupert Murdoch has taken to a weird moment. He does this every once in a while. When the season either closes or when the election cycle is over, he'll do this small thing where he will attack conservatives, and he'll do it very, very quietly. But this one is in relation to the Republicans in America. Now, when you hear this story, you're going to be like, this is weird. He's basically admitting that he's the one who puts the people in the positions. Okay. So what did he say and how did he say it? I'm going to present you with all of those details and more. Murdoch's New York Post warns Republican saboteurs to shut up and then ridicules them as the losers. Now, this comes on the back of the Republicans were recently winning the House only by a slight margin. What should have been, and it was a very, very publicized red wave, which is quite typical when there is a Democrat in the White House. The Republicans take the House. Americans consider a sort of balance. What they haven't figured out is who these idiots are that they're electing. And no, it's not balance, it's sheer stupidity. They haven't figured that out either. Oh, God, I'd hate to be an American. Okay, the conservative New York Post is telling Tea Party Republicans to sit down and shut up and accept Kevin McCarthy as their leader. Now, do you know what that instantly tells me? He's picking the leader. Now, that there tells you everything of Murdoch right there. He's like, I'm just going to say it. This is who I want to lead you. Okay. For the past several weeks, Republican Matt Gaetz and Paul Gosar, the nutbags, Andy Biggs, Ralph Norman, Matt Rosendale, Bob Good, have maintained their refusal to compromise on their beliefs on McCarthy. Now, if you remember, Kevin McCarthy is no big lefty that's going to do extreme things. No, the reason that they don't like him is because he didn't kiss the ring enough of Trump. That's basically what it is. So if you don't really lean in and really make a good go of showing Trump your undying love for him, this is how it's gonna go. So understand this is where we're at. Okay, so now Murdoch comes in and goes, the Post is begging the GOP leaders to stop fighting for their strongly held beliefs and compromise, which isn't generally something that the members do. Now, the Republicans do have this amazing way where they shred each other. They don't just talk to each other about their differences. No. That would make sense. What do the Republicans do? Republicans have an amazing habit of really digging into one another, saying the most god awful things. Everything from you're not loyal enough to Trump to, oh yeah, you believed in space Jewish lasers. That's right. The recent fight of Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene is still making a lot of headlines. Why? Because each of the ladies has refused to end the argument. But the weird thing is the Jewish space lasers lady seems to have some good points, which is weird that I'm the one supporting the weird lady saying the weird things. But in this case, she understands that Kevin McCarthy probably should be Speaker of the House as they take up this position in the House. Now that they've got this position, I think that the Republicans are going to blow it. They have this weird fixation with books and how they can attack people's civil rights and all this other weird stuff. So, and I'd imagine that there's going to be this whole thing on Hunter Biden's laptop. They really don't know how to work, and they can't work together. So Rupert Murdoch attacking the Republicans is not helpful, but he does it in the very quiet moments of going, shh, except Kevin McCarthy, I'm telling you to. That's what's happening here. And he's going to continue to do so. Then went on to ridicule Biggs in particular for being unable to do anything but to pull anyone to his side. Now, what does that mean? Basically, we're at the point of, you know what, you didn't do what I asked you to do. You didn't kiss my ring either. So Rupert Murdoch does make and break the Republican Party as a whole. Moreover, Biggs doesn't command a majority and said that the editorial board ridiculing the Arizona congressman. He barely commands enough people to fill a station wagon. Now that Americans aren't going to know what that is. That's an Australian moment. So Rupert Murdoch is talking to him like an Australian and using Australian anecdotes. I don't know why he'd do that. Yet it is claimed that being back on the electing speaker means that the Republicans won't be able to legislate. And thank God if they don't. I hope their war goes for an eternity. I hope Trump does go out there, sows his seeds as an independent, and really drives home the whole, what Republican Party? I don't need a Republican Party. Rupert Murdoch is basically admitting he wants Kevin McCarthy because he has given Kevin McCarthy a lot to work with. In the past, Kevin McCarthy made even some ridiculous statements. Before Nancy Pelosi's husband, was attacked, Kevin McCarthy did make a statement about taking over the house and hitting her over the head with the gavel. So this isn't even like, it's such a weird moment that her husband was attacked with a hammer, given Kevin McCarthy's statements in the past. But I digress. This will be one of the moments where Rupert Murdoch will lose. Keep in mind, Rupert Murdoch is facing several legal challenges, one being with Dominion and the other Smartmatic, for delving into election conspiracy theories. So him putting out this editorial now is very timely. He has a very short amount of time to try and get them to legislate to then stop this action against his network. He is going to use the free speech doctrine, and he basically wants to use it to obliterate the idea that telling election lies is a constitutional right, which I don't see how that's going to fare out too good for him. A vote against McCarthy could well be in favour of the terrible Biden and policies that have been punishing America since the inauguration. Republicans in the nation simply can't risk that, the Post said, but some of the Tea Party Republicans believe that McCarthy could ultimately end up making a deal with anyone, including President Joe Biden, if it means giving McCarthy any kind of power. See, there is a plan. It's a terrible plan. It's like each time he'd pick a prime minister for this country, you'd be looking at him and going, what's wrong with you? These are terrible, terrible people. They aren't going to make anything better, and worse, they divide the nation. When you get a party that makes a huge effort to divide a nation, they barely can get anything done. Hell, getting up out of bed in the morning is an effort for these sorts of people. So, that is that. Look, do I think that Rupert Murdoch has a pull that he once did? No, not within Newsmax and OAN. Subsequently, OAN will have to bow out and not be a bit of a... Also, Newsmax and OAN are being sued by Dominion and the other company of the election lies they told. So in saying that, I think that there is going to be a reckoning for these people. Do keep in mind, though, that these people are terrible. They are never, ever good. The idea that Trump could even make his own day great again is phenomenal. It's a worse one when he goes to the people saying, you know what, I can make this whole country great. And then say a terrible lot of hateful things within his reach. Yes, the man still plans to run in 2024, and it will be just a bigger firestorm than his 2016 run, because now we've seen the full griminess of the man, and the news doesn't treat him like a celebrity anymore. They treat him like the criminal he is. A lot of them do anyway. Except for if you're Rupert Murdoch. OAN and Newsmax. Oh, and Right Side Business News Center or something. Right Side News or something. I don't know. I haven't caught many of them, but there is a high following for that. Okay. Trump and his taxes. So there's been a lot of talk about what is going on there. It's been recently learned that he did have problems in relation to his taxes. Now, the reason that this is going to come up more is because the Senate committee has unloaded this whole idea and debunked the idea that he's some big patriot American that, pays his way and does the right thing. And the Conservatives are weirdly going with, well, now this gives carte blanche to look at everyone's taxes. Okay. Like Supreme Court judges. Okay, I'd like to see that. Why are you doing this weird thing about us seeing the Supreme Court justices' income taxes? Like it's a threat to us. No. It was in your worst nightmare, so you thought it'd be ours, right? You weirdo simple people. What is wrong with you? Alrighty. So let's have a look at that and exactly what his ties are and what we have currently learned about Trump in the process.
And this is important because it was one of the things that we are looking for in these additional documents is his foreign bank accounts. We have just learned that he did hold foreign bank accounts the entire time that he was in office. In 2015, actually, let's start with 2016. He had bank accounts in the United Kingdom, Ireland, China, and St. Martin. 2017, UK, Ireland, and China, and then 2018 and 2020 just in the UK. The reason why this is so important, we're going to do a deeper dive into all these foreign entities, is because the entanglement that Trump had with foreign business was a huge part of the narrative while he was in office. And now we're going to find out actually how far that actually went. Are there any foreign owned companies? Who are his business associates? So again, more the other thing, and this is important because it was one of the things that we are looking for in these additional documents.
Okay, so then we're going to have a look at this one. This one will show more of a detailed moment of him saying that no, he never did have bank accounts in China. This is in the presidential debate of 2020 because he's an idiot and admits to. He should have just said no, like he doesn't know, or deal with his accountant or something. What he did was quite incriminating.
This is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean, I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's what it was. It was opened it was closed in 2015, I believe. And then I decided, because I was thinking about doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before.
Joe knows he's an idiot. And Joe, you can see it in his face. Like, no, you're an idiot. Why are we doing this with him?
Or I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference.
This is for you. Since you...
And if Trump's mouth is moving, he's clearly lying. That's my issue with all of that. It's never ever going to be decent. They're not decent people, and they don't know how to be. Okay, so we are on our last story for the evening. Now, if you haven't heard it recently, Andrew Tate and Greta Thunberg, the Swedish climate activists, recently had a bit of a dispute about climate change and, what exactly their prospective roles are. Andrew Tate has made so many misogynistic comments to Greta that she just thought, well, I'm just going to call him out for it and see what happens. Turns out it resulted in Andrew Tate doxing himself and him subsequently ending up in a Romanian prison. So this is the best take I have gotten of the situation. So this is a bit of a comedy sketch. Take a look, because all you can do is laugh at how ridiculous Andrew Tate is. The Conservatives seem to think that he is this mastermind of brilliance, when really he's just an idiot who says dumb things about women and climate change and other things. Anything he talks about, he's an idiot. And it's backfired badly. But now they're like, oh yeah, the left are going to be so offended. Why don't they look at all of these people that they made up with their weak QAnon conspiracy theories, and think that that will add up to something, because everything they say must be believed because they're weirdos. But this is the funniest take I've seen on this situation yet.
Okay, so we're rolling. How do you want to start?
Release some greenhouse gases.
Very cool. Maybe do a wink as well. Nice.
The mainstream press is commenting on the fact that
Maybe flash us a nip whilst you're talking.
I was informing Greta
Oh, that's lovely.
that my very extensive car collection run on dead dinosaurs
Should we be fact checking any of this, because that dinosaur thing isn't true? So you sound like an idiot a bit.
have an enormous emission
Pause for effect.
profile.
Lovely.
And she replied by telling me her own email address.
Ooh, Andy, I don't think it was actually her email address.
I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address?
I think she was exaggerating for comedic. Oh God, how to explain comedy to an idiot? She was using the sort of form of an email address to indicate what she thought of you. I actually don't even think at getalife.com is a real domain. I'm just going to find out. You're not doing a got ya by saying that's her email address, because she's already said that's her email address.
I'm not actually mad at Greta.
You don't seem it either. This feels like a really mature response to a 19-year-old. Oh, the pizza's here. Oh, will we stop?
Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled.
We do not need to do a second take of
The
this,
Global Matrix got this bot farm to like and retweet.
because there is no way that people like Greta more than they like you. I mean, look at you. Look at us.
Greta,
Do an impression of it.
with a little hate-filled face,
That is brilliant.
sitting somewhere without the heating on, in the cold, a little hat, shivering.
Shivering.
Use my tweets, which is going to make my Twitter account far more fun into eternity.
And that's a wrap. Great work, everybody. I'm going to send that across to you, Andy. What's your email address? Don't get jokes at imacunt.com. Great.
So he is sitting in prison, Andrew Tate is, after he doxed himself in relation to what could be considered a trafficking incident. Now, there are victims to crimes like this, and they're very serious crimes. Understand that no one should make light of real victims, but Andrew Tate's an idiot, and he has no idea when he's having these weird internet wars with people. He doesn't think that he shouldn't commit crimes as he's doing it. That's why I find the man interesting. He thought that he would do this weird, well, I'm going to fight with you anyway moment. I don't know how Andrew Tate thought that this was going to work out, but for Conservatives, it's worked out pretty poorly. And they're screaming out, what about Hunter Biden? Do you have anything else, Conservatives? Because I have a life. And it's a weird thing that they do. Twitter seems to be this really septic system right now, and most of my feed consists of some weird conservative rant that is going on. And so when I'm seeing these takes of Andrew Tate, where that comedic skit back there, that was to sort of take away the amazing stupidity that is filled in my feed of, oh yeah, I can get you. I don't know what Elon Musk did to Twitter, but he ruined it. And somehow, even the people that I do follow, I'm seeing weird conservatives saying really weird things, like the conspiracy theory around what happened to Paul Pelosi as his attacker is being arraigned and taken through the court system. It's a weird thing to do. I have to hope at some point that Twitter does get cleaned up, but I think that this was the goal of Elon Musk. He was never popular anywhere, not even Twitter, but his stocks are way down. His Tesla stocks are basically bag holding at this point from most of his people. And he's lost a great amount of money recently on his holdings. It's amazing that the man is considered a genius by the right. He's an idiot. He's a rich idiot that had very rich parents that helped him get to where he is. And because of his charismatic thing like Trump, they tend to get into these lucky spots of finding something and then ruining it for everybody. Twitter used to be a reasonable way of connecting with real people that were in positions of power. Now it seems to be this grimy underbelly, bad neighborhood that you wish that you didn't have to walk through just to be able to see what regular people that you'd like to connect with are saying. I hope eventually that it is fixed, but I don't know. It's a bit cringy at the moment. Anyway, I'd like to leave this on a high note. I hope 2023 brings a wonderful moment for all of you. And I hope that you have enjoyed the show and the new time slot. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I will see you next week. Thank you and good night.